grenadine, orange juice, and a certain spirit distilled from the blue agave plant. These three ingredients make for an immensely sweet cocktail, but they also serve as the foundation for early 70s rock and roll. The original version of this cocktail, created somewhere in the 1930s or 40s, didn't contain grenadine or OJ, but it did bear the same name as the more modern version that was invented at the Trident restaurant in Sausalito, California, during a kickoff party for the Rolling Stones' 1972 American tour. The Stones took a liking to the concoction created by bartenders Bobby Lazoff and Billy Rice, and ordered the drink at every stop on the tour. The drinking habits of the legendary classic rock band effectively made this cocktail a nationwide sensation and laid the groundwork for the first single for the Eagles' second album, Desperado, which released the following year in 1973. The single was written collaboratively by Don Henley and Glenn Frey, a first for the band, whose debut album featured work written by both musicians separately. Their collaborations were fruitful, bearing both today's track and the title track, Desperado, in just 1 week. Frey had come in with a riff he described as, quote, kinda Roy Orbison, kinda Mexican, end quote, and it seems the duo were taken with the idea of a cowboy western-styled album. The song was not a smash hit, but generally well received, hitting number 64 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 26 on the U.S. adult contemporary charts. Perhaps more importantly, the song was well liked by the writers themselves. I love the song. I think the goal of any songwriter is to make a song appear seamless, to never show the struggle. Nothing should sound forced. This song was written fairly quickly, and I don't think there's a single chord out of place, said Frey. Though Frey never questioned the music, he did have some qualms about the title he had come up with. It was Henley who convinced Frey to see the title in a new light. Quote, I believe that was a Glenn title. I think he was ambivalent about it because he thought that it was a bit too obvious or too much of a cliche because of the drink that was so popular then. I said, no, look at it from a different point of view. You've been drinking straight tequila all night, and the sun is coming up, said Henley. That's right, we're talking Tequila Sunrise by the Eagles on Cover Me, Summer of Sun.
It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. Said goodbye.
That's right, it's Cover Me, Summer of Sun, the only podcast that compares famous songs loosely related to the sun to their many cover versions to find out which one just gets numb. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my hired hand co-host,
Alex Mildenberger.
Alex Mildenberger for hire. What's going on, Alex?
What is going on? It's hot again. Doing a lot of, I've been putting off setting up like some home theater stuff in my place. Yeah. So I've been kind of looking into that lately. Very exciting. I'm reading instruction manuals. I'm digging in menus. I'm cutting wire. Yeah. And it's very exciting. But mostly it's just summer and hot, and I don't want to do anything because it's really hot, so I lie around. Yeah. And occasionally attempt to move a bit, but don't want to cook, basically.
That's fair, yeah. You gotta. That's why I was walking the Costco rotisserie chicken this week, man.
I've got to go for the rotisserie chicken one of these days.
Get it, dude. Get a fucking prepackaged salad there or whatever. We just do wraps all week. It's just easy living. I'll tell you this, though. So this is because I think you told the podcast, you told me at the very least, that you got a barbecue specifically to stop the inside of your home from heating up. Yeah. But you still got to deal with the grill. Like, you still got to be over that thing.
Yeah, but it's temporary, It is hot.
I mean, life is temporary. Yeah.
I don't mind. And also, it's kind of nice because it's out on the deck. So you sometimes get a nice little breeze out there. But it is hot. You're right.
It is hot. It's a scorcher. I'm more of a. We've got a pressure cooker, which I think alleviates the heat.
Yeah, it does
a little better than a grill.
Yeah, because it really holds it in.
Yeah,
that's true. And the grill does mean you have to be outside.
Yeah.
But I will say this one other thing, and I had something to say, and it's slipped my mind. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say it's cooler. I don't know.
Cooler, like temperature-wise, or cooler, like because you're hanging out by a grill?
Well, it has LEDs on it, so it's very cool.
Oh, no way! Your fucking barbecue has LEDs.
Yeah, it was on clearance, so that's the one that
you've got, like the gaming PC of barbecues.
Yeah, I do. I can't change. Well, the colors do change, but yeah.
All right, 2 more questions about this barbecue.
Okay.
Alex, 1, you got any grilling tunes? You got a certain mix you put on when you're grilling out there?
I feel like I generally don't, but I feel like Eagles would be really good for grilling.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Yeah.
That'd be a good choice. My second question, also related to this, you got to grill and beverage while you're out there.
Grill and
you're
beverage?
Just a water guy.
I'm generally a water guy. This grill happens to have a bottle opener built into it.
Oh shit!
So, just as a novelty, I haven't had a chance to use it, but it is there.
You got to get like some water, like tonic, some fancy tonic water.
Yeah,
that could be your route.
Something that I can just like pop the cap off of. And
yeah, while you're grilling.
One
more question: grill. Shirt on, shirt off.
Oh, it depends on the heat. Shirt open, at least, if possible, when grilling.
When grilling.
But I mean, usually the way it works, based on the way the temperature happens during the day, is I'll have a shirt on, sometimes open, while grilling, and then later in the evening when I go out to like put the cover on when everything's cooled off, usually shirt off by then.
That's good. That's good. You know, gotta work through it.
Yeah. You use that pressure cooker shirt off usually, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to being a full nudist whenever I'm at home.
Okay. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
It's the only issues is that like people do walk by my window, and like I leave that thing open, so like the chances of showing a hog to one of my neighbors is like higher than 0, which is not great. But it's just especially after a day of work, just like get my slave clothes off. If I'm not going anywhere, what am I doing? Fucking putting clothes on.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Oh, wow. That's a lot louder.
That's a lot louder, baby. Alex, so I'm gonna hazard a guess. Yeah. You've never had the beverage Tequila Sunrise in your life.
No, I've never had a Tequila Sunrise. I've had all of the ingredients separately.
Not
in sequence or anything. I've never created a Tequila Sunrise in my stomach.
No. Okay. You like all the separate ingredients? Rank them top to bottom.
Rank them top to bottom. I mean, I don't really know grenadine very well. It's just kind of sweet, right?
Well, if you're getting bad grenadine, yeah, it's just sugar.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a little like tart. I can't remember if it's pomegranate or passion fruit. I think it's pomegranate syrup.
Okay. Because grenadine.
Yeah, it's pomegranate.
Is grenadine in like is that what's in a Shirley Temple?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, yeah, then it's just what I've ever had is very like syrupy.
Yeah.
And I thought that's just what it was.
But yeah.
So never really like tart. But I mean, orange juice is top for me. I'm not a tequila person, so that's bottom for me. And the grenadine just gets the middle by default. Although I might choose tequila over grenadine now that I'm thinking about it, because like just straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm no tequila fan. How about you?
I gotta rank them. I think tequila's up top, and then probably orange juice, and then grenadine.
Okay. Yeah.
I gotta get that tequila in me, because like even like orange juice, typically pretty fucking sweet. So like,
true. But manageable. If I ask this, are you a pulp person or?
I'm a no pulp guy.
No pulp person. Okay.
I'll put up with pulp if I have to. Are you a pulp guy?
I'm a pulp guy. I feel like it's gotta at least pretend to be fruit.
I guess that makes it feel more authentic.
Yeah. It just feels real, man.
It feels fucking real to me, dude. But yeah, I would bet. Here's my bet with the Rolling Stones and their Tequila Sunrise, the one that was popularized. It's got to be like pulp-free orange juice and the most sugary grenadine you can imagine, and like tequila. So like it's like the worst ingredients put together.
Right. I could definitely see like for mixing drinks why you might not want the pulp.
Yeah, that would be a little bit.
Yeah, although I didn't hear that story about the So did you say it was invented?
Yes.
For that?
Yeah, so these two guys just fucking whipped it up that night. What was their names? Bobby Lazoff and Billy Rice.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the 1972 Rolling Stones American tour is called the Cocaine and Tequila Sunrise Tour.
Like colloquially, or was that on the tickets?
I don't think that was on the pamphlets, because how would they have known at the launch party? You have to do so much like work to change that up on the fly. But yeah, that's colloquially what it's known as, or like known as in hindsight, because the Stones are doing a bunch of blow and drinking orange juice, grenadine, and tequila.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
I was shocked, but I led with that story because I was shocked at how quickly on the back end of that the Eagles write Tequila Sunrise.
True, like they popularized it very quickly, but maybe it was just kind of a fad, and now it still exists.
It's on the IBA list, which is the International Bartenders Association list of cocktails. So it's canonized essentially.
Okay.
All on the back of a Rolling Stones tour. And it is weird because the original version of the cocktail was created in Arizona in like the 30s or 40s. The only crossover ingredient is the tequila. Because that version has, I think, it's creme de cassis, which is like a berry liqueur.
Okay.
And lime juice and soda, which are not any of the things that are in Tequila
No, that's
Sunrise.
just a different drink.
That's just a different beverage, right?
I guess based off it, because like there's a fruit juice, there's an alcohol, and there's another thing, but I feel like that's just a lot of cocktails.
Yeah, if you look at cocktails too long, you're like, well, it's all the same, but just slightly different.
Right. There's like variations on the theme of like booze plus juice plus syrup or some other
syrup. Yeah, pretty much. Then it's like, oh, these ones have egg whites, these ones don't, or like this
like
focuses
we put bitters
on,
in.
Bitters go into this one. Some have whole eggs in them. That's a category where it's like, this one has a whole raw egg in it. But yeah, so I think just the fact that drink like fucking shoots through the popular consciousness on the back of the Rolling Stones, and then reaches the Eagles, who does like a good pun on it. And releases like a pretty solid like bummer cowboy song. What are your thoughts on Tequila Sunrise, the song?
Yeah, I mean, I've known it for a very long time. You know, it's the one that it's incorporated in my history, like the sense of like, oh, this has always existed.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I've ever
canon.
Yeah, it's in my canon, I guess. I've never even like tried to judge it, but it's one of the like quintessential Eagles songs. And it's pretty good. It kind of strikes a mood very well, and I never really thought of it. I didn't really realize that there was a drink called a Tequila Sunrise, because I'm not a big cocktail guy.
Yeah, you're
right?
not in that world.
But even not knowing that, it still works.
Yeah,
pretty
because
well.
I think the concept that Henley talked about in that quote, where he's like, "Oh yeah, it's you drank tequila till the sun rose."
Yeah, and even like my first thought of it was like, "Oh, it's a hangover song." Tequila Sunrise is you fell asleep, and now the sun's coming up, and you're like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, you're like, oh,
so
shit, gotta deal with this.
So it kind of works there, just like in terms of the phrase, and the rest of it, the rest of the lyrics. I mean, again, like just kind of create the general feeling around that. It's not like referencing the drink in any way other than the name.
The name, yeah.
But like it's the sun, because it is a sun, like it is the morning, right?
Yeah.
So it works. It works with or without the drink. We all know what tequila is, and the idea of like the morning after.
Yeah.
A lot of tequila is like a concept that is familiar.
Yeah, so it's dealing in pretty well-known like concepts. It's creating this sort of like cowboy like night out at the bar or morning after, like reflecting on it.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, there's some of the cowboy stuff. I guess it does come into it, but like not that much. Mostly just the sound, I guess, which is still important.
Yeah, the sound's important. There is like even tequila being the drink takes it a little further south.
True.
Like it's small. It takes you cowboy in small steps.
Yeah, it's
versus
definitely
like
cowboy.
Desperado, which is like
like I'm a cowboy.
Yeah, you've been out riding fences for too long or whatever. Like it's all cowboy lines.
Right. This is just like gives you the sense of cowboy, and there's a few key parts of the lyrics that give that feeling of at least, the sort of southern thing. And obviously the tequila, like you said.
Yeah. Here's my theory, though, on the Eagles this week. All of their songs are just two elements in varying portions, and that's being sad and being horny.
Being sad and being horny?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like we could say that about a lot of songs, but do you have other examples?
Every Eagles song.
Okay.
Like Hotel California is sad because you're stuck in this place. You can check out anytime, but you can never leave. But there's also that bit about the woman who's fucking a lot of dudes. She's got a lot of pretty boys. She calls friends.
So it's just like a bit of that.
Desperado, same thing. It's about being lonely. So it's amped up on the sadness, and in a sort of jazz sense, the horniness is like the hollowness of not having anyone around. One of These Nights, easy, sad and horny. I don't even
Life
need to
in the
explain
Fast
that
Lane?
one. Life in the Fast Lane,
There you
full
go.
on horny.
Witchy woman?
Easy horny.
Easy Sad? Maybe. Yeah.
Sad, like a touch, because she's like scary. She's
Yeah.
a witchy woman. And like even Take It Easy, he tells you to lighten up while you still
Yeah.
can't. So it's like one of the happiest sounding Eagles songs, but it really is like, hey man, I know you're sad. And then he's talking about how he's got to loosen his load, Alex. Horny.
Horny.
7 women on his mind? Horny.
Yeah. One's his friend?
Yeah, one's a friend, but it sounds horny. The way he says it, it sounds like it's not just a friend.
Yeah. In the city?
Yeah, what's in the city? My dick. Horny.
That's less of an Eagles song, I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Because it is the other guy whose name escapes me right now. What's his name? The member of the Eagles. He didn't join until Hotel California, though.
Okay.
So. Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. I was going to say Joe Walsh. I didn't remember what his name was, though. So
Yeah, I think In the City is more of a Joe Walsh thing, because he did a solo version of it.
Yeah,
so anyway,
Lion Eyes, sad and horny.
Yeah, Take It to the Limit? What do you think
Take It to the Limit?
What do you think the limit is, brother?
Yeah, come on. It's about fucking...
One more time?
And it's also kind of sad, like even that one, just like performance-wise, tinged with a little sadness.
That's true. It's damn, that's a good song.
It's a good song. These guys are like one big horny bummer. That's the Eagles.
Horny bummer. Yes. The Eagles, yeah, they're an interesting group.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about them specifically. We haven't talked about them really since... Well, we've brought them up, in passing, but we haven't talked about their music since Witchy Woman, and that was our first Halloween episode.
Yeah, so it's been almost 5 years.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
So, very cool. I also thought it was interesting that this is one of the first songs Glenn Frey and Don Henley wrote together, because, I didn't really think of it that much, but yeah, apparently on their first album it was all separate. So this is like the start of a pretty lucrative partnership.
Yeah, pretty successful,
ways, yeah.
And knowing how much the Eagles fucking hate each other,
yeah,
it was very interesting to see all the positive quotes this week, where they're both just like, hey, Fry did this one thing, it was great, I think the song, both of them say the song's really great, and I was like, oh, I'm actually shocked. I thought it was going to be like, yeah, Fry had this fucking idea about tequila or whatever.
Yeah,
fucking idiot.
And I haven't, I didn't watch the whole, there's like an Eagles documentary that was, I think still is on Netflix.
Okay.
From a couple years ago, I remember it came out, and I saw some of it, saw bits and pieces because my dad was watching it. And the band, as much as like we know they had issues, obviously they've had a lot of reunion tours and farewell tours and things like that.
Yeah, Hell Freezes Over tour.
Yeah, exactly, and all that. So like their relationship is at least unstable, and we know that they have fought a lot with each other. But they always spoke positively about the band's output. So it does seem like they're at least probably proud of that to some degree. And the issue was not the music. Like, because, you hear about a lot of bands where it's like, oh, creative differences.
Right.
And sometimes that's true, and it's like, oh, different members want to take the band in different directions. We talked about Styx.
Yeah, Styx. We talked about another band
amongst
recently.
other things. I mean, Supertramp is one that was like that, where it was maybe a little more amicable, but they were like, we just want different things.
Mm-hmm.
But with Eagles, it doesn't really seem like that was so much a thing, as they were just like kind of generally fighting. The other possibility, and the impression I kind of got from some of the Glenn Frey interviews, was it was like half a marketing thing. Like, he's not going to talk shit about the Eagles because he wants people to buy Eagles music.
He's like, I still get a kickback on Eagles music. Yeah. He's like, you want me to say Eagles were the greatest band that ever lived? Sure.
It benefits me greatly, right? Like, so I got the impression that was part of it, but at the same time, it does seem like they are actually happy with what they put out in this time. And I mean, there is a lot of good stuff. I will say I don't love a lot of Eagles album tracks.
Yeah.
Particularly from some of their middle stuff, but they do have a lot of good songs. And I don't think
I've ever listened to the Eagles album like front to back.
Yeah, I tried with a couple, but like maybe Hotel California or The Long Run, and maybe I'm not giving it enough of a chance. That's a possibility too. But I like On the Border Desperado just couldn't really get into.
Yeah, and I've put on those albums. I've pulled out maybe one or two songs I might like from those albums, but they're just like the Eagles are not for me.
Yeah.
As much as their greatest hits, I can probably listen to front to back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that is the, I think, second best-selling album of all time. It was number one until Michael Jackson died, and then Thriller overtook it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one, their greatest hits 1971 to 1975, and that is the foundation of my Eagles knowledge.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah.
It's all there.
It is all there, dog. And what's also here is these lyrics that we're going to get into right now.
Oh.
It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. I said goodbye. He was just a hired hand, working on the dreams he planned to try. The days go by.
Yeah, this is interesting. It seems to be like a meeting between two people. But it does use some language, and this is kind of where the more southern sounding language comes in. One, I mean, not necessarily southern, but kind of frontier, like cowboy stuff.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, that it's he's saying goodbye to this hired hand right now. Is that what you're suggesting? These two people are here at the sunrise. He's well, partner, it's time to head our ship.
Kind of what it sounds like. It's part of the maybe loneliness of the frontier.
I kind of saw it as he is alone at this point, and he's putting the night behind him. And then, so we're kind of getting like if it was a film, this is the end of the film we're getting first, and then flashback to what happened to get our guy to this point where he's staring at this sunrise.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing that stands out to me really in terms of that is the perspective change. Mm-hmm. You start with I said goodbye and then go right into he was just a hired hand.
Yeah.
So it's what happens there? Why did we change?
Yeah, why do we shift? I think musically it plays a little better because I said goodbye, and then you get a little doom 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 boom 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 boom. There's a break between that, and then boom, he was just a hired hand.
That's true. It is split up into halves musically. Mm-hmm. I guess that could make sense of changing the perspective. And then we do have several characters, but it does switch between he and I.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's just almost observational, almost but not quite the Wait, where it's I went to this place and there were all these people I met. And
right.
These are their sad stories.
Yeah, it's almost that, though. I think he speaks to his own involvement because he talks. He basically, there's three characters: him,
more involved,
the hired hand, and the woman. And so the story I got from this is that he slept with the woman, despite maybe being friends with this hired hand guy. It's a little unclear, and then he has sort of ruined a place maybe he was in. So him looking at the sky, again, sort of cowboy imagery. He's well, time to move on to the next town. I've fucked everything here.
I've messed it all up here. Time to start over again. It does feel like that, where there's these sort of three characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does seem to have the second half of the first verse almost feels like some level of it feels like some level of respect,
right?
Because he was just talking about this hired hand, honest blue collar laborer kind of thing.
Yeah, he's just a simple guy working on his
chasing his dreams, right?
Yeah.
So he's kind of he does seem somewhat respectful.
Mm-hmm.
And then just again, I do the days go by. It's very stark, he's trying this, but time goes on.
It's time's passing.
He's working. And then, sort of the woman, and maybe this love triangle, or maybe it's just an angle.
Yeah,
maybe it's
just
a triangle.
Be the angle. Could be. It's a stronger shape.
Yeah, it is a stronger shape. It does have that feeling to it. And then, of course, the idea, we'll get a little bit into it later, but as mentioned, the tequila sunrise of you were up all night drinking, or you've now woken up with a hangover, both work.
Mm-hmm.
And the drinking is drowning the sorrows of whatever happened, and then you just kind of tuck that away as this cowboy stereotype, and move on to the next thing.
You're the stoic cowboy. You're looking out at the horizon. You're well, it's time for what's next.
Yeah.
The bridge, every night when the sun goes down, just another lonely boy in town. And she's out running around. So the hired hand is the lonely boy, is that?
The hired hand?
Yeah.
Every night when the sun goes down, just another lonely boy in town, and she's out running around. I don't know. I don't know who the lonely boy is here.
Because I think with every night when the sun goes down, we're talking about not just our cowboy here is one night in the town, perhaps.
Right.
But I think he's referring again, the days go by, this hired hand who's been here for quite some time. And he's out here he's trying to live his dreams. He's just being another lonely boy. Maybe he doesn't have the money to go out, or he's working on whatever his dreams are. And this lady he fancies is out running around getting dick.
Yeah. But at least, not, he seems to be somewhat infatuated and, she's not settling down.
Yeah.
But he's in love or whatever.
There is some implied connection.
Yeah. And I couldn't keep from coming on.
Yeah, dog.
That's pretty horny.
That is pretty horny. I was going to say, just another lonely boy in town and she's out running around is a pretty big whiplash of sad to horny.
Yeah, it is. Lonely boy in town, she's out running around. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of us, though.
Yeah, just one line ahead there. She wasn't just another woman, and I couldn't keep from coming on. It's been so long. Whoa, and it's a hollow feeling when it comes down to dealing friends. It never ends.
Is dealing friends a phrase?
I've never, outside of this song, I have never heard the phrase dealing friends.
Yeah, I'm trying to work through it, because, the idea that there might be three characters kind of, to me, makes it seem like they're talking about, their friendship and how interacting with this woman is maybe, if they're kind of fighting over sort of thing. They're sort of, betting on the friendship. It's,
some kind of, two ranch hands at the same place. One of them is the hired hand that he's referring to is sort of the gallant to his goofus. He's out drinking when he should be doing the Lord's work or whatever, chasing his dreams down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very one of those evocative phrasings that I don't know if it means anything, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's it makes me think to some extent of card games.
Yeah.
Dealing.
Again, you got a bit of that frontier cowboy type.
Yeah, that
imagery.
frontier cowboy imagery, and it's I guess it is a hollow feeling to beat your friends, even in a game of cards. It's because then your friend is also losing. If there's stakes on the line, it's you
true.
won, but at the cost of somebody that you care about losing.
There's only one winner. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the first half of this is very simple. She was a very special lady. I had to come on to her. I haven't had sex in, oh my God, so long.
Yep, another horny line.
Yeah.
Hollow feeling when it comes down to dealing friends. Yeah, and I guess the hollow feeling, you could succeed, but also it doesn't feel good. Because,
yeah, it's he's so even if I get what I want, which is to be with this woman, it's not going to be a satisfying experience, or at least not for long.
Unless, okay, when he says dealing friends, all right, so I have another possibility, and maybe you said this already. Is this song trying to devalue the woman because she's out running around, because she's sleeping around? Is that the suggestion there? It's a hollow feeling being with her because she's been with so many other people? Is that what's...
Okay, so what does dealing friends mean that, she's dealing by,
Well, I mean, it... sex friends.
Okay.
You're dealing with friends instead of...
But and that connects to it's been so long. He's but it kind of sucks when you got to pay for it.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah, or when it is with a quote unquote loose woman, if she's not a sex worker.
Yeah.
I feel that's a bit of a reach, but I think it's still in the realm of possibility.
I know, it's it is a bit more of a reach, but I'm also but at the time, they definitely would say that in the song.
Yeah, and especially it also plays with his perspective on Tequila that we get in the next verse where he's I take it for one result and get the opposite.
Well, maybe we should talk about that.
Yeah, and then of course there's the line "it never ends" on verse 2, which implies he's either been in these scenarios before, whether that's getting sex from a sex worker / loose woman, or being in some love triangle before where he's done dirty to a friend. He's quote unquote dealt a friend.
So same vein, but we've already got this unrequited love situation.
Yeah.
And then she's not the sex worker, but there are others involved, which he still says is hollow because of because he's in love with the other person, but then he just gets drunk and
and he just bones down on whoever. So he's harboring feelings for somebody else, but he's just hitting a friend instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's almost another like vague enough song that these are all kind of possibilities, I think.
Yeah, it is such a, like, as much as there is a thin story here, it is largely a vibe song.
It's like he was into this person, couldn't get them, and he's sad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think he fucks, though, but then in the next verse he talks about how he's not getting courage.
But, yeah, wonder why the right words never come. Okay, well, he's not, because there's still the woman he loves, who he's still not with. So it's not helping. But
then the start of verse 2 is she wasn't just another woman I couldn't keep from coming on. So he does come on to this woman.
True, but it never successfully?
Maybe.
That's why he doesn't have the right words. He's like, what? I guess maybe that's part of the tragedy is he's like too busy, preoccupied. Like, what can I say that's different? And it's like, sorry, man. She's just not into you. There's nothing,
maybe she was
not necessarily anything you can say.
To get laid, but maybe not enough to take like the next step with him to get in on his cowboy shit, right?
Maybe.
See, it's hard to say whether the courage is just to get laid or to have a real heart to heart.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah, but that's verse 3. Take another shot of courage. Wonder why the right words never come. You just get numb. It's another tequila sunrise. The old world still looks the same. Another frame.
Yeah, cool stuff. I mean, I do like that first half there. Yeah, another shot of courage, but like it's not that.
Yes.
It's just like the irony there of like, you take it for courage, but you actually just get numb. It's not actually helping you.
Yeah, and I've been in that like literal scenario enough times that hits. We're like, maybe I just get drunk enough and I'll loosen up a bit. And I'm like, no, I just got drunk enough to get drunk. Or I'm not doing shit.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting couple lines there. I do like that line.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like the mirroring here because another tequila sunrise is how it starts the first verse and then how it ends the third verse. And I think that's a really cool structure.
Yeah, bookends it. It's another tequila sunrise.
And this old world still looks the same. So like nothing's changed. Which we've had that theme, the days go by.
Yeah.
It never ends.
It never ends.
Still looks the same and then throws on another frame, which is, in addition to supporting that, just a cool imagery, I think, because it's either, I mean, we've already got this cowboy imagery, and then it's sort of, I mean, frame could be like picture frame, which I'm thinking of like scenery, and you're like, it's still nice, and the sunrise, of course, so like that's still beautiful.
Yeah, I think of it like there's like a certain school of landscape paintings that are associated with sort of the Wild West era. I think it's the Hudson River School.
Hudson River School, interesting. I'm thinking of like mesas and whatever those rock formations.
Yeah, exactly that. The Hudson River School of Art, Western Portraits. So they were kind of big for like legitimizing landscapes, as I understand it, as a form of painting rather than just an exercise for painting.
Okay.
And they were a big source of inspiration for Red Dead Redemption 2, I believe, in terms of setting up the
Damn, I gotta play that.
The area.
And I mean...
And that's cowboy shit.
That's cowboy shit, yeah. Okay. Hudson River, interesting. Cool.
Yeah, possibly. He's just like, it's just another still unchangeable moment. He seems to be stuck in his ways here. Everybody seems to be stuck in their ways.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's another song like that. Yeah, so I wonder, I'm trying to figure out if there's like if the first verse is like a narrator being like, hey, I rolled through town and met this person and this is his story. It kind of feels like that to me.
Okay.
When you're like, I'm like the bard rolling through town, like just talking to people and learning things, and like that's this guy's story. It kind of has that feeling. Maybe bard is the wrong word for the Old West, but like it's definitely, it's the drifter, a wanderer.
Yeah, it's a kind of like a classic, like dude shows up. It's a pretty classic story format where we just follow like a capable narrator to see sort of short stories unfold in different areas. I think that interpretation would work better if there wasn't the strange shifting from he to I.
It is weird. Yeah, especially he and then I couldn't keep from coming on. Yeah, I don't know.
And if it is such a like, because I think if he had done it verse 2 and he couldn't keep from coming on, it's been so long, like brackets for him.
Brackets for him, yeah.
It doesn't
vocals
come off as personal. It comes off like a little too detached for this song, which I feel like the first person narration makes it a little realer.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Although then in verse 3, he does second person because he says, "You just get numb."
Yeah, although that's kind of how you would say that if you were talking to someone, you know? Yeah. I tried to get... And if you're like lamenting that it didn't work, you're like, it didn't work though. You just get,
just get numb. It's like kind giving advice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like loose, like broad strokes. It's about one regretful morning as a cowboy.
Yeah. And for some reason, really evokes that feeling. We've talked about slow morning songs, and this definitely fits into that.
Absolutely.
That canon, I'll say again.
Yeah, fits in with Sunday Morning by the Velvet Underground.
And there's the more recent one we talked about.
Probably the hit song 3005.
Yeah, that'll be it. But in any case, I can't think of what the other one was exactly.
Yeah, I'm taking a look here. I can't really.
But these songs, it's that style of song, a different feeling. That one's a little more introspective. This one's a little more like a story of this person who's stuck in this town and has dreams that he planned to try, but like it's not working out. Nothing seems to be working out, so he keeps drinking, but the drinking is kind of part of why the things aren't working out, and he just...
Yeah, if indeed those two are the same guy.
True.
It's hard to say who is who in this story, but yeah, it's essentially, if not like one through line, it's like vignettes of like being bummed out.
Well, that's true. I guess if he's talking about some other person, it could be just another guy who was in that situation. But also, it'd be like, oh, I was out drinking, and this is my drinking partner for tonight, because I'll just whoever's in town, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think also, because that's what the song is chosen to focus on, it's sort of thematically relevant.
Yeah. Well, here's my one last theory, one last pitch. Does he only know about the hired hand guy because the woman he kept coming on to told him about the hired hand as they were fucking?
I have no idea.
So he learns mid-fuck that he's cheating. And he's like, oh, no.
Oh, so the other possibility, he is a homewrecker.
Yeah, he's a homewrecker.
And that makes him feel sad.
Yeah. That makes the nut hollow.
Hollow nut.
Fucking hollow nut. Oh, it's a hollow nut. The song's very simple musically, though.
It is. It is pretty simple musically, but it's got layers, and it's got a nice kind of country sound. I mean, the Eagles themselves, their sound kind of evolved over time, but their early stuff is very like country rock.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we open with that rhythm guitar. Boom,
yeah, so I assume that is what Glenn Frey was talking about with his Mexican Roy Orbison.
Yeah, and I hear both. I can kind of hear where that comes in.
Yeah.
And then following that is like a slide guitar.
It is slide guitar. I just on that initial riff for a second.
Yeah.
It is simple, like you said. It's kind of strumming, and then it kind of does a little like I think hammer on. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was notable, but I just thought it was like very obvious. And I think that is Glenn Frey because he was, I think, mostly a rhythm guitarist.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, and then there's
vocals and acoustic guitar he plays on this.
Yeah. But yes, that slide guitar comes in. A few things come in there. Like a slide guitar comes in, but drums at the same time. There is actually hi-hat before that.
Yeah, the hi-hat before. And then, drums come in a little fuller.
And then there's also another lead guitar riff.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It kind of climbs up and like does the same thing in different like da-na-na, da-na, da-na-na,
Yeah, it's
So,
playing
yeah.
with the same area as
pattern.
that rhythm guitar, but a little different.
But just like I guess changes chords, but it's kind of cool. Little, and it's all like it ends up sounding very laid back. It's not very fast.
Yeah.
We'll even compare it to some versions later that are more like on the beat, and you can feel the difference.
Yeah, even looking at the drums themselves, it's pretty light, like thin, like it's a lot of hi-hat and then like a wood block kind of hit.
Yeah, it is pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah.
I assume at this point it was still Don Henley because like he's ostensibly their drummer, but in like any recent things you see, they're all just sitting on stools with their guitars.
Right.
So, and then there's like a touring drummer on the actual kit. So I don't know if he.
Yeah, this
actually
is
played drums or
Henley
not.
on drums, maracas, and backing vocals.
Yeah. Interesting. And our last Witchy Woman's a Henley song, so like vocal. So we're finally talking about a Fry vocal.
Finally getting the whole picture here.
And that comes in right away here. Once that riff comes in for a bit, now we get to the verse. That sticks around. Ned Glenn Fry's singing. At this point in time,
sunrise.
I mean, there were only 4 members, and some of their other like iconic voices, which is to say Joe Walsh, weren't around. That's not to diminish the contributions of Randy Meisner,
right?
Because he also did some singing, but he was less of a vocalist. What
did he sing on?
He did. He does Take It to the Limit. Yeah, one of the reasons he left the band was he was like stressed out about having to sing that all the time, and it's like was like difficult for him. He also, I think, had some health issues.
So he wrote a song about taking it to the limit and couldn't live up to it.
Couldn't live up to it, yeah. Or maybe he did take it to the limit and then was like, "That's enough."
He's like, actually, turns out taking it to the limit is bad.
Yeah, I only wanted to do it one more time. I can't do it again and again and again.
Yeah, he's like, take it just below the limit.
Just below the limit. Exactly. Yeah, I don't really have other things to say about this. There's just one vocal track here until for a while, but then once we get to the back half, they start to bring in some harmonies.
Yeah, I mean, well, to speak of these Eagle vocals the same way I've spoken about Eagle songs in general, sad, tinge of horniness.
Tinge of horny.
Just a tinge.
Just a little bit.
So it works really well for this composition. It's a very like sad cowboy take.
Yeah, well, I mean, the slide guitar. Anytime you throw a slide guitar in there, right?
Yeah, that slide guitar is pulling a lot of weight to bring it all the way into country.
Yeah, like like I saw Noah Cyrus a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
At the Stampede, and her band had a like pedal steel guitar, which made it real country sounding. She's like in the pop vein, but there's definitely a lot of country there.
Yeah, that seems to be the Cyrus family brand.
Yeah, so that sound just like, oh man, that's cowboy.
Yeah, that is cowboy. Yeah, so the next big change up is the bridge every night when the sun goes down. That's where you get those backing vocals.
Interesting that comes in so early.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it gets called a bridge here. I don't know if it's technically a bridge, but I don't know what else to call it. It's just like another section, but it's really early on.
Yeah, it's like verse alternate, but like I guess it does connect to the chorus. Does the song even have a chorus?
It's not really a chorus.
Not really.
Right? So it's like a bridge, but it's just like a B section kind of.
Yeah.
And maybe that they do once. So it's like A, B, A, A. Is that a structure, I guess?
Yeah, anything's a structure.
Anything's a structure if it exists, right? Like, so yeah, I don't know exactly what to call it. Maybe it's technically a middle 8. I don't know, but yeah, they have this other section in here, and that's where the harmonies actually come in, and you can start to hear like Don Henley as well. His voice is pretty distinct, and the Eagles have really nice harmonies.
Yeah.
That was one of, I think, the things they were known for, especially in the early days, was their harmonies. And I think that was even a note in the in that Eagles documentary where they were like in their early days, and who knows if this is true or not, but they were like, yeah, everyone was not sure about the band until they heard them like all sing together, and they're like, yes,
Like, these guys
I'm
got
like, what, did other bands not do harmonies? Like, come on.
It feels like it's just a very, I mean, I would call it an easy trick, but I think it's quite difficult.
Yeah.
But it's like everybody knows harmonies, but if you get the guys doing it right, like the Beach Boys are known for harmonies, I think.
True. I guess part of it is how they all sound together. Like, you can sing harmonies, but like if the voices don't all fit together in the right way, then it doesn't have the same sound.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound as nice, maybe.
It doesn't sound correct.
Or like, yeah, I guess harmonies are very distinct. Like the Eagles, Beatles are known for their harmonies too. That's also distinct. You said the Beach Boys. Queen is known for harmonies as well.
Yeah.
And they're not known for harmonies, but I want to bring them up because I think they're often terrible, and that's Styx. Sometimes Styx harmonies just grate on my ears.
They're pretty rough.
Anyway, but I'm getting off topic now.
You are, but that's
like,
because
like sometimes it's fine, but sometimes you're like, hey, this is nice, and then they all come in, you're like, oh, okay, that's too much.
Yeah, it all comes down to that. Like the big member of that band is a musical theater kid, and the rest of that band is like a blues rock band.
Yeah, what a setup.
What a setup. The fact that Styx has any good songs is a miracle.
It's a miracle, yeah.
And absolutely. I love each one of them. So
absolutely.
But this bridge, this middle eight, is a bit of a change up on like what's being played. You get the backing ooze, the guitar is doing a little more fiddling around.
Yeah, the drums, you kind of get the like 3 hits on the hat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
just similar to the strumming.
Yeah, and it's a nice seamless like transition into that section. It's that quick drum hit. Like Fry said, he's like the song appears seamless, and it's like, yeah, it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's part of the reason I never like stopped to analyze the lyrics, is because it's like, oh, I'm just cruising along with the changes here.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes you away, and it's tough to notice anything happened.
Next big change up is a guitar solo we get.
Yes, because we go through another verse.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar. This second verse does have harmonies, whereas the first one didn't. So like we kind of build with that. So a little bit of a change there. Just like ooh.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm on the wrong verse in my notes. The last verse has harmonies. Does the second verse have harmonies? No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. I lied to you.
You fucking.
It does have like the slide guitar is a bit different. I was like comparing it between the two.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like they're just kind of noodling around. Like it's just doing his thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
how much...
I think it's just a little like kind of jam band mentality there, or it's like just play whatever feels good.
Does he always play the same thing? He wouldn't have to. No one would notice.
No one would notice.
Or not many people. And if they did notice, they probably wouldn't complain.
Especially like there's a breakup in the middle of the verse where it just goes like. And it's like, yeah, you didn't play that before.
Yeah, you can just do whatever kind of. Doesn't really matter. Well, it does matter a bit. I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but I mean, you have to stick within that style, and like, if you're in like the right key and everything, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like the rhythm's holding it down, so you have the space to move.
Yeah.
And, it does a good job.
So anyway, just a quick note about that one. But yes, then there's the guitar solo. Yeah, the kind of like Latin-inspired guitar solo. Yeah, it's also got a cool sound. Yeah, with like kind of I don't know if they're double stops, but it's playing intervals. It sounds like, and like sliding that around a bit. Not sliding like slide guitar sliding, but like certainly sliding like you could on an electric guitar. Yeah. Yeah, and it's both the guitars are playing together, but the other one's just kind of strumming, I think. Yeah. And it's a pretty good solo. It's another part of the vibes of this that tells you it's a cowboy song. Yeah. So you're not going to hear this solo in just any rock and roll song, and certainly not even any country song. Like, no, well, it's so laid back. And I mean, just to compare cowboy songs, which is to say, compare this to Cowboy Song, which we also covered. Very different feeling from that song. Like, they both have a laid-back feeling. Yeah. But this one is definitely more laid back than that one. And the sound, of course, in that one is more like electric guitars and stuff, right? Yeah, and that's Irish Cowboys. Lizzy. That is Irish Cowboys. With Phil Lynott. Phil Lynott. Lynott? Yeah. Fucking Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy. So this one, it's a nice solo. It's really nice.
It's pretty laid back,
I like it.
and then takes us right up into the sort of higher, like, bridge of Take Another Shot of Courage. Wonder why the right words never come.
Yeah, a little bit more. That's like kind of your height of expression there. Or not height of expression, but like of intensity.
Yeah, height of like the range too. It does feel like he's singing higher.
It does.
And it is to set you up for the fall if you just get numb.
You just get numb. And yeah, it's a good like setup payoff.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of you get the cyclical, we get back into the title, right? The beginning.
Yeah.
It's the Tequila Sunrise. We're already talking about everything being so kind of cyclical and never ending, and the days go by and all that. And then it's different, right? It's another frame, but like it's the same idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the other, I mean, I didn't mention this before. We talked about the frames, talk about paintings, but that could also be like a frame of a movie. And
like the 1988 film?
1988 film. Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen that movie, Tequila Sunrise.
With Mel Gibson, Kurt Russell, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, while we're talking, I forgot to mention this. I couldn't fit it into the intro, but this is interesting purely because we talked about this band last week.
Okay.
But the Trident restaurant where the Tequila Sunrise was made for the Rolling Stones was a bar, restaurant, music venue by the Kingston Trio.
Oh, interesting.
Who, for avid listeners will recognize, was the first popular version of Seasons in the Sun.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, they made this place that then made a cocktail that the Rolling Stones loved so much that the title of that would become an Eagles song.
Yeah, and also apparently Rolling Stones tour.
Yeah, that's right. The Cocaine and Tequila Sunrise tour.
Mm-hmm.
And during the summers in 1974, 1975, and 1976, Robin Williams worked as a dishwasher and busboy at the Trident. So
there's your connection right there.
That ties it all together.
How many degrees to Robin Williams?
It's not many, but I'll tell you. So this one ends with because he finishes a line and we get kind of a gentle instrumental outro, a very definite ending though. He hums a bit, and then it's you get a few phrases from the guitar and everything, and you're out.
Yeah, a little bit of humming. That's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice song. It's got a good feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun like cowboy story of like longing and also drinking.
Yeah.
It's a little lonely. It's a little horny.
Hey.
There you go.
That's the Eagles, baby.
That's the Eagles. I guess sad was, yeah. But
yeah, no, but lonely. I went sad. I could have chosen lonely, and that might be even more precise describing Eagles songs, but I went with sad as a broader umbrella.
Yeah. So, cool song.
Cool song. What else is cool is talking about 10,000 covers that all sound roughly the same.
Roughly.
But before we do that, a short break.
And
we're back, talking about Tequila Sunrise, the Eagles song, and covers of it starting in the year 1974 with Tony Christie.
It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. Said goodbye.
Tony Christie, a English musician and singer.
Yes.
His big hit is a song called Is This the Way to Amarillo?
Yeah, apparently that was like in an ad more recently and kind of had a second wind kind of thing. 2002. No?
Yeah,
okay.
It sounds like this could be
it gets used like in TV stuff, basically. Sometimes, and then that makes it popular again.
Yeah, he's got, just listen to that in this version, he's kind of like your British, like, crooner guy, like a bit show tunesy, a bit more just straightforward, like,
yeah, pop. He sounds a bit Tom Jones, but it's definitely that like older pop style. Tom Jones, of course, is also British.
Yes, he is. That's right.
But
it's not unusual for Tom Jones to be British.
Is he? He's like Welsh or something, right? He's like
probably. The Welsh have a surprising representation in popular music.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another one.
I'm going to say Jeff Beck, and I think that's a lie.
Jeff Beck.
Welsh musicians.
But anyway, those two at least. Well, not Tony Christie.
Not Tony Christie. Listen, you've got, come on, here we go. Bonnie Tyler.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot Bonnie Tyler. That's
the band Bullet for My Valentine.
Of course, obviously Tom Jones.
Obviously Tom Jones and me tell each other fairy tales. The band Funeral for a Friend. That's a name I know. I don't really know their music.
Shirley Bassey.
Shirley Bassey. That's right.
That's a big one.
I knew we'd talked about a few Welsh people on this show.
Yeah. Those are the ones I recognize from this
Gary
list.
Pickford Hopkins is a name I kind of recognize.
Do you know what from?
He's best known as the co-lead vocalist with Ashley Holt on two of Rick Wakeman's most successful solo albums. No, I got no idea who this is.
Nope. All right. Anyway, so that's fun. Wales. We're not actually talking about Wales. We're talking about
Tony Christie.
We're talking about Anthony Tony Christie Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Well, you better believe it, folks. Folks, if it sounds like we're buying time here, it's because all of these versions sound about
the same.
About the same.
But we're jumping in. We're jumping in anyway. This guy's had albums produced by Jack White.
Jack White?
Not that Jack White. Some German guy whose name is Jack White. That I found on his Wikipedia page. But yes, this is an older style. It's kind of that, like, I guess, more orchestral pop.
Yeah, because you get brass on this, which is welcome. It's a welcome addition.
I actually like the horns. At first, I was questioning this one, but when you get the horns, it sounds get a little more like Mexico in there, so that fits in with the like Western thing.
Yeah, I think they start out very just like 50s big band crooner style, but then they find that more Mexican vibe, and that is better.
Yeah, now he doesn't sound very Western. I guess it's probably the big mark against it, is like it's still going for the Western thing, and he's like, he doesn't have that, which is fine, I think, but it does take it a bit out of that zone.
Yeah, and it's like you've brought in those horns to push it in that zone, but you're pulling it all the way back.
Yeah, exactly. It negates it just a little bit. But it does have some of the, it has the horns, which do sound cool. Those come in a little later. There's even, like, when it gets into that bridge section, that B section, whatever, you start to get like strings building up into there, so it does have that, which makes it a little gives it a bit more of that like old Hollywood sound. So again, there's a bit of that in like how we conceptualize Western, because it's probably mostly cowboy movies that we actually are thinking of.
This version is in some way a throwback version, where it is like 50s inspired. Like it does feel a bit old Hollywood. It feels a bit crooner style. And that's, like it finds a bit of comfort in that space, but coming off of the Eagles right into this, you're left wanting, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it is a bit, it's just like a bit less of that. It's an interesting style, but it doesn't do a whole lot with it other than just put it in that style.
Yeah.
I like the solo. It's mostly the original solo. It's played. This is the part where I noticed the most that it like feels like more on the beat kind of thing, because the solo feels like that. You can hear some moments, and then if you compare them to the original, it's like, they waited like just a little longer. So it gives it just a bit more of that laid back feeling, where this is more in the meter, which is like fair enough. We're talking about like maybe more professional musicians who are less likely to play outside of that, or just a different style.
There is even something about like that bass line, which is still country style, but very bare bones basic. Boom, 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 boom. It's practically a metronome. So I feel like that further anchors you in that rhythm. So it feels a little less natural.
Yeah, I guess so. You just gotta like stick to that. And it's just like more starched, as it were.
Yeah, but like straight up, if you played this, wait, what did you say? You said more starch, stiff. I gotcha.
Yeah, stiff.
I follow. But like, if you played this over the opening credits of like a 1950s Western movie, I don't think anyone would blink.
No.
They'd be like,
not.
Okay, this is exactly right.
Yeah, and you're like, in Technicolor, wow.
No fucking way.
No
Technicolor?
Way. Technicolor? Damn.
Now we're watching a movie.
So this one, pretty well put together. Loses a bit of the westernness. It does seem to try to keep it, but you definitely can hear that it's like losing that. That said, there is also a guitar. The guitar has a decent sound to it. There's decent sound to it. It doesn't totally fit that vein, but it has its own kind of adjacent vein that works reasonably well.
Yeah, I'd say coming to this one, I'm like, I know the Eagles get dogged on a lot, particularly in modern culture. But then you listen to this, you're like, well, the Eagles had something. Maybe they were a little bit cornball or whatever it is that you don't like about the Eagles. The fact that Jeff Bridges dissed him in the Big Lebowski.
In the Big Lebowski. I feel like that sort of stuff makes people hate bands more than anything. Offhand comments that are meant as a joke, and people are like, oh, maybe the Eagles do suck.
Yeah, fuck the Eagles. It's like, okay, all right. But yeah, coming to this, you're like, wow, the Eagles have a few skills up their sleeve there. They got some good stuff. But we got to move on. We got to talk about another Tequila Sunrise by another artist.
Oh, wow.
And that artist is Dennis Marsh in 2006.
2006.
It's another tequila sunrise, steering slowly across the sky. I say goodbye.
So we're jumping way up to 2006. This guy is from New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah, he's New Zealand's most successful country music singer, and he's a TV presenter as well.
Yeah.
What's interesting about him, though, is that he didn't really apparently get successful until the 2010s.
Really? Oh, yeah.
That's when his best-selling albums are from, and then he starts hosting this TV show called My Country Song. He's the best-selling country music artist there.
But he's been releasing albums since 1989.
Yeah, he's been around a while, but it seems like he doesn't really peak until he's much older.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often, especially considering he's in his 70s now, so he was in his 60s. Wow.
Yeah. And he's knocked out at an album as recently as 2018. Maybe he's too busy hosting TV shows right now to keep that music output going, but I asked my partner Greta if she knew this guy. Never heard of him, so.
Well, yeah. When did
her response was New Zealand has country music? I was like, I guess.
Here's the thing. It talks about how he interestingly wanted to become a carpenter, but then became involved with Christian music. So I wonder if maybe it's more like a Christian-focused fan base, and that's enough of the population that he can get 4 gold albums and 6 platinum albums.
That makes sense. I mean, a country that's got a place called Christchurch.
Yeah, I don't know what the Christian population is like in New Zealand, but I do know that there's a place called Christchurch.
Having met people there, they asked me if I was Christian. I was like, no, I was raised Catholic, though. And they're like, oh, good, he's Christian. I was like, oh, God damn it, people.
Was this your in-laws? Or
This was my in-laws.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, I guess you want me to be Christian. Sure, whatever.
Interesting. I mean, I almost wonder if they're like, oh, good, he's baptized.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of it. They're just that old school. They're like, thank God he's baptized.
At least his soul, at least he was cleansed of original sin. Is that?
That's right. I've just got a bunch of new ones.
Been filling it up with new ones.
I gotta clear this original sin out, so I got space for more.
Oh man, clean out the fridge, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Now this version, we've talked about an artist before, Winston K, I believe is his name. Really garage, very cheap recording equipment, very cheap guitar sounds, but he's got a lot of heart.
Right.
And that's kind of this version.
You think he's got a lot of heart?
Okay, minus the heart.
Yeah, because I'm going through this one. I'm like, yeah, okay, it has the country elements, has the strumming guitar, has the slide guitar. It's kind of not very different overall. It's a very close cover. It's 1 second off the time of the original, so it's very close. And then there's a few things that I don't like about it specifically. The original has a whoa in it.
Yeah.
Whoa, and it's a hollow feeling.
Oh, and it's a hollow feeling.
And I feel and I have a timestamp, 127, and I feel like the way he does it just doesn't hit at all. It just doesn't, it's nothing. He's just kind of oh, and I don't know.
Whoa, and it's just,
it doesn't even happen. And,
just don't do it then, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Just skip it. You might as well. And I feel like I did not like that. I feel like that takes some of the wind out of the sails here. And the other thing it does I don't like, I have a timestamp for this as well. It's 1:44, and it's the solo. The solo, they just do the melody again on the guitar. Yeah. Which is fine, but like, I don't know. I'm just kind of disappointed in this one overall.
Absolutely. Here's the problem with that. You could get away with that if the tone on the guitar was really locked in.
Yeah.
Like if you had this excellent country tone, if you're doing a slide guitar or like a fucking lap steel or something, like that's going to work. But it's, like I said, he's got this Winston K level of production, which is awesome when you're doing like little garage rock covers of like Rush and shit. You're like, oh, this guy's just some old rocker. Here, it just comes off as cheap.
Yeah, and I don't like that sound. I don't like his vocals are just very like even and like very overdubbed the whole time. So you have like a few like tracks of just his voice just kind of throughout, and it's not even like a very good harmony.
Exactly.
Really. So like I don't know. It's just I really didn't like this one.
It's very flat, essentially, in all senses of the word, and it's very lacking. A very interesting character. My thing with it is that this is 2006, and his albums start taking off in 2010.
But he's still been around for he's been an artist, so I don't know if maybe it was just like a low time when he was like, all I got is my garage. But they didn't, like, garage studios were less of a thing then, too.
Yeah, and it's just like maybe, I can't say speak for his situation if he was investing enough equipment into anything.
True.
If I listen to a 2018 track here, let me see. Like, it still sounds like... Okay, is there... let me get one that actually...
You know what it kind of reminds me of?
Yeah.
And the Christian thing is what kind of also tipped me off to this. There was a few times, definitely at least once in my youth, where, like, the church choir recorded an album.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's kind of that production quality level.
Yeah, I'd say that's about
right.
Where
like, they rented the studio space, but, like... the rest of the know-how wasn't there. They didn't have like the staff to...
Yeah, somebody knew that you're supposed to record in a studio, and that's about as far as they got in terms of technical know-how.
Yeah, but they didn't have like an engineer to like place the mics right and like mix everything properly.
Yeah.
That is kind of what it sounds like. So it's like halfway there.
Yeah, like if the recording tech was a little like older on this, it would sound like some of the shit we talked about from like the 20s and like with like field recording stuff, where it's just like, okay,
and
we've got something.
I mean, you can get like really solid like scrappy productions, but it doesn't succeed in that really.
Yeah, you got to have that know-how. I always think of that story of, I can't even remember what the song is called. It's The Commander Thinks Aloud by The Long Winters. It was on I think it was on Song Exploder.
Okay.
Where they talk about the studio drummer they hired. And they're like, we hired this guy, and he like didn't even ask us what we wanted. He just came in there, started moving microphones, and just started like basically just did the drum track himself, and just layered all of these like perfect drum tracks together to make this very compelling like drum line. And that's the kind of technical know-how you need, is to come into a room and like move the mics to the right spot, play at the right consistency, and it's like, there's no way Dennis Marsh is going to have that.
It doesn't seem to.
He was still considering being a carpenter at this point.
Yeah. Maybe carpentry. Maybe carpentry is right for me.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, yeah. So I don't know what his later stuff is like, but this is pretty weak.
This is pretty weak. Surprisingly weak is the next band we're talking about, Molly Hatchet, 2008.
Hatchet.
It's another tequila sunrise, stirring slowly across the sky. He said goodbye.
Yeah, a band I don't know much about. They do Flirtin' with Disaster, which is
Flirtin' with Disaster, damn sure what I mean.
In Rock Band.
Yes.
So that's kind of the only familiarity I have with them. They're like a southern rock band.
Like immensely.
Yeah.
Like hillbilly southern, like whistle through the gap in your teeth sounding southern rock.
Yeah, they get compared to Lynyrd Skynyrd. And what was that other group we talked about?
Black. No, what is it? Yeah, it's right. Black something.
Black Oak, Arkansas.
That's the one.
That kind of vein.
Yeah.
And they like got together in the 60s and 70s. The other interesting thing about this group is they're still going, but all the original members are deceased.
Okay.
So they've been going. They're another one of those Ship of Theseus bands.
Right.
But
Somebody
this
bought
is
the license.
Yeah, this is 2008 too. The license.
Yeah, it's late. How many original Molly Hatchet members do we have?
Yeah, I mean, this was after some of them started dying. They started dying around 06, I think.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research.
And their album artwork is so bizarrely like metal.
Right, it's all like Boris Vallejo stuff.
Yeah, it's their name is always in like a banner. And then it is like fucking, you got like Thor
Vikings.
on one of them.
Yeah.
You got a lot of horsemen. Like, they really like horsemen with like axes and things.
Yeah, which I guess you see, yeah, like you said, like heavy metal albums.
Yeah.
And they're, more associated with like hard rock, but I don't know. It was also like the 70s, so that was less established.
Yeah.
So, and if they like the visuals, sure, whatever. But it is unusual to see.
Yeah, I kind of picture these guys as like the Motley Crue of Southern rock. They're a bit like dirty, less successful, and just like hard sound. And what they deliver here is nothing like that, though. It's thin, it's small, it's generic.
It almost sounds like a live version,
almost,
which it doesn't seem to be.
No. Or if it is, it's a very disappointed audience.
Yeah, right. There's no audience. It does, and part of the reason it feels live is, well, one, the way they record it just kind of gives it that feeling a little bit. But also, it's just such a close cover. Again, they kind of, they're doing all the same parts. They're doing all the same vocal parts and melodies. And they have, I guess they have a brighter sound, which is what made it feel live.
Yeah, it's particularly that like rhythm guitar, which has a bit of like thinness to it, a little bit of like reverb on it or something.
They do have some other things like strings and piano is like can be a pretty important part for like southern rock sounds.
Sure, yeah.
In this one, it basically just replaces the like steel guitar, the slide guitar.
That's right, and then we also get like synth kind of filling in the back.
Yeah, I think I might have just called those strings, but it's probably synth.
It's probably synth, because I wrote synth string at first, and I was like, I don't know, it might just be like not even attempting strings, it might just be synth.
Yeah, but it does end up sounding a bit weird. I don't know if I totally agree with that aspect.
Yeah, I think their sound choices are really mixed on this. Again, only knowing these guys for Flirting with Disaster, but shouldn't we have like a angry banjo on this?
Or something?
Like something a little more like fucking...
Even like, not angry banjo,
like a washboard. Yeah, sad banjo. Give me a fucking jug.
Yeah.
Just somebody blow on a jug, and I'm gonna
banjo.
Yeah,
and blow a jug.
It was just a lonely banjo.
Exactly, just a banjo. Yeah.
Yeah, even if this was just a banjo cover, I think it'd be a lot better than what they're putting out here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they kind of, like, they do put their own, like, personality into it a bit, if only because, like, their sound is a bit gruffer, and it has that really bright sound.
Yeah,
but
barely.
There's not much else really going for this one.
Yeah.
It's, again, like I said, like, it maybe sounds a bit live, but it also feels like the sort of thing that would, I've said this a lot, just work better live, because it's like, oh, you're not selling it, right? It's just a fun extra at the live show of like, we did this song that's popular and maybe you know it and we like it too, versus like it's on the market kind of thing.
Yeah, you play this live, I'd have less problems with it. I'd be like, yeah, it's a little flat, it's like, a little weak, but you're playing it live. But this is just like, why is this here? And it's on the Greatest Hits album.
Yeah, which I was perusing, and they do seem to have a lot of covers. Like they have
Freebird, Bad to the Bone, Back in the USSR, The Boys Are Back in Town,
like all kinds of stuff.
Wild Horses, Desperado, the other single off of this Eagles album. What else they got? Mississippi Queen is their own, I think.
Tumbling Dice. No, Mississippi Queen is Mountain?
Oh, you're right. It is. It's a different band. It's like something about the Mountain Hall or Mountain.
It's another group anyway. Tumbling Dice, Layla. I'm just going through this. There's so many. Sharp-dressed man. And probably a bunch that I don't know.
Hell, I'm gonna even guess that Drum Solo is covered.
Oh, probably. Drum Solo brackets live.
Brackets
That's
live.
One of my favorite songs. I think it's a Rush song. Anyway. Yeah, so that is to say, kind of disappointed by this one.
Yeah.
Expected a bit more. And it's a weird band, because who knows what the 1970s version of the band would have done with this.
Yeah, hopefully something a little better. We'll never know. But we will know what they're calling the new Dylan would do with this song in 2012. It's Ray Dylan.
New Dylan.
It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. Said goodbye.
Do you think, because this is a stage name, his given name is Jacobus Frederick Jersich? Do you think it's a reference to Ray Charles and Bob Dylan?
Ah, maybe.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Because he sings in Afrikaans and English.
Yes, this guy is from South Africa.
Yeah.
And you will never guess, but this one is actually a pretty close cover to the original.
Oh my God, is it ever?
It goes a little harder on the slide guitar.
Yes.
That's kind of what I had to say. And other than that, I focused on his voice.
Which has like a little twang in it.
A little bit, yeah. It's not very gruff. It has some countryness. It's a little like higher frequency. And it's definitely more like polished and has more of like a pop sound.
Yeah.
And the way he sings as well. He does like little runs at the end of lines.
Yeah, and I think he's got some like pretty classic pop processing on his vocals.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I think so. It has that sound to it for sure, where they're cutting out the frequencies they don't want. Probably pitch shifting it a little bit.
Yeah, we're approaching what Bublé levels of like producing.
Of like, yeah.
Of like, he's a crooner, but he can't sing. You're like,
yeah. Or if he can, you can't tell.
Yeah, you're not allowed to know.
Yeah, you will never know. And the other thing it does that's fairly pop is like the way it does the harmonies. This is not like the small group singing, right? It has the choir sound, but I think it might just be all overdubs of our man Jacobus.
That would be my assumption, is it's all just him.
Yeah. And it sounds like that. Anyway, like if it's not, it's enough tracks that like you can't tell.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But it's 2012. We're in like digital land now. You can do that. You can do as many tracks as you want, more or less.
Yeah, and the thought, I think, especially for like an independent artist, is like the more of me that's in the track, the more people are going to hear me when they hear the track and like me. Yeah,
maybe. And the fewer studio musicians you have to pay.
Exactly. That's the other side of it is like, I don't have a budget.
Yeah. So I mean, fair enough. It's all right. Definitely more like
version
polished.
Is fine.
But other than that, like it's got everything. It's got the guitar, the like rhythm guitar, slide guitar, solo, all the other elements. Like they're all there. It's just more modern.
Yeah, I just forget this version as soon as it stops playing. You know?
That's true. There's not much to latch onto here.
Yeah. And it's not like the guitar solo is fine, his twangy voice is fine, the rhythm is fine, like the tone of instruments is fine. It's just so boring that there's nothing to cling on to.
Yeah.
But could there be a band more boring, maybe? What about Lasse Lindholm Band in 2016?
It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. Say goodbye.
Yeah. So I found a Lasse Lindholm band. But I couldn't find this band. I think they're Swedish, or
I believe they are Swedish.
Certainly, yeah.
Vocally, he sounds very Swedish. I have like the personnel listing. I'm not sure where I got it now, but yeah, you got Lasse Lind. Actually, it says Lindbaum on the credit I got here. Maybe I went to that Lindbaum page.
It might be the same person. I don't know.
It might be the same person.
Instead of this is Lindholm, so like I don't know. Lasse Lindholm, Harold Lane, David, Paul Hampton. Oh wait, that's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one. I got Niklas Stromstedt, Nanne Kvilzater, and Ingmar Dunker.
I have no idea. I didn't
in the
find
band
that.
here.
Yeah, I don't know. I see.
We've talked about these fucking kinds of bands before, Euro bands who do Western music.
Right. And that's what we have here. This one has a bit, like, there's a mandolin on this.
There certainly is.
That plays in a, like, kind of strums along at first, and then you really hear it in the last verse. And it kind of plays the melody with, like, more strumming and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of the big, like, instrumental change. Other than that, I mean, I guess it's his accent. Like, it makes the emotions a bit odd sometimes. And maybe this is a me problem. I know I've had it. Like, remember when we were watching Game of Thrones?
Yes.
And, like, the one actress who plays Shay, I was like, is she bad at acting? Is she a bad actor? And everyone else was like, no, I don't think so. Like, I don't know. I think she might be. But I think it was just her accent.
You just didn't like her accent.
I was like, I heard it and I was like, that means bad at acting for some reason. And I don't know why.
That's because you're hateful, Alex.
Maybe I'm just hateful of
You're a
Germans.
hateful man.
Or she's either French or German. But
Right.
anyway, this guy is neither French nor German.
But I do agree with you here. Like, I struggle to get the emotional weight of any of the lines.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knows English particularly well.
Thing
Like,
is-
his pronunciation seems fine.
Yeah, I would expect him to know English, but it is possible to learn songs phonetically as well. So,
Yeah.
um,
But there's no, like, heft to it. And, like, he's like staring slowly across the sky. It's like, okay.
yeah, it does feel a bit flat, eh?
Yeah.
In different ways to Dennis, our guy Dennis.
Yeah. And then my other thought is, like, maybe the Swedish people are just, they're very stoic.
Stoic people. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the Swedes collectively. But I do know that this version doesn't have a lot of dynamics. Emotional thing. But the mandolin, yeah, it's kind of cool. It fits the sound. But there's just not that much going on anyway, so.
Yeah, it's pretty sparse. I think he sings flat sometimes too.
Maybe.
And I think, you like the mandolin is a cool step towards like country sound without doing exactly what the Eagles did, but nothing else backs that up.
True. Yeah. It's not. That's like just the one element I could like single out, but other than that, there's not much to say about it.
Yeah. This version also very forgettable.
Yeah.
But what's unforgettable is the karaoke performance given by Stephen Kennedy in 2017.
It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. Said goodbye.
Yeah, did you find out who this person was specifically? Because there's a lot of people with the name
There's a
Stephen
lot of
Kennedy.
Stephen Kennedy. I think he's just some dude from the States. I think he's just a guy.
There's even a lot of like guitar players named Stephen Kennedy. who will, but different guys, I think. But if you want guitar lessons, online guitar lessons from a guy named Stephen Kennedy, that exists.
That exists, but if it's this Stephen Kennedy, I wouldn't do it.
No. And it's another close cover.
Yes.
But I see what you mean by the karaoke, because he is going like pushing the country accent hard.
Yeah.
Like you can hear he's like pushing down a bit. He's really trying to do the like low.
It's another tequila sunrise.
Yeah, it sounds more like a character voice, and maybe it's always a character voice, but it's not very natural sounding here.
Yeah, it's and like the tone on it makes me think of like genuine karaoke. Like it's built to kind of amplify you above the very basic and sort of off-brand backing track.
Oh, is this the one where like the lead vocal's really loud? Yeah.
Yeah.
And very like reverb heavy.
I said goodbye. Yeah, very reverb heavy, which I think are trademarks of karaoke. I don't do a ton of karaoke, admittedly, but this is like what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, karaoke. That's the right label for this, I think. There's not much else to say about this. It has the strumming guitar, has the slide guitar, same drums, same harmonies, same solo. The other thing about the harmonies is they're like very quiet.
Yes.
They seem to turn them down quite a bit. I don't know. Maybe it's another mixing issue. But like you said, his voice is so loud in the mix
Yeah.
that like you can barely hear those harmonies. So they end up just sounding like they're kind of filling space.
Yeah, and he's not hitting anything resembling a good vocal performance here. If I heard this at karaoke, I'd probably be like, hey, right on.
Like, yeah, right on, yeah. But
He
like,
knows the words. He
recorded.
knows generally where the notes are supposed to be.
he's doing the cowboy thing. It's probably like fun to watch him on stage.
Yeah, maybe he's got a little costume on.
Yeah, maybe he's got a hat. Maybe it's a cowboy hat. I don't know.
Maybe it's cowboy. It could be a cowboy hat. It could just be a hat, like a baseball cap.
It's like a baseball cap. He's turned it backwards. He's focusing.
Yeah, so you know he's cool. Because he also does Limp Bizkit songs.
Oh, of course. Does he actually?
No,
It's
I don't
behind
think
blue
so.
eyes. Okay, I'm just like, I was
What-
like looking at his songs I like #3 cover album.
Okay, so he could like Behind Blue Eyes, the Limp Bizkit version. We don't know 100%.
Forgot that existed. We gotta talk about that song
Someday.
someday.
But yeah, that's this one. Let's talk about Nathan Temby in 2018.
Yeah.
It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. Said goodbye.
What a
Nathan
brave
Temby.
cover to do a slow piano version this week.
I know. It's the
A
first
brave.
one that's like different, and I was like, finally something different. Slow piano version. Like,
Yeah. I like tried to be so positive about
I
it too. I was
know.
like, okay, right on,
It's
okay. And
different.
it's like, it's
yeah.
so boring.
Nathan Temby. So Nathan Temby's
Yes.
like a kind of pop Broadway type singer. So
Yes.
he does this. It's like very Broadway style, but it's like it's slow piano. So and it's not doing a whole lot with the piano. It's
No.
like piano arpeggio and then voice and like that's it.
Yeah,
Um,
that is it. This is from a YouTube series he ran from
Yeah.
2017 to 2021 called Cover Fridays. Released a cover song every Friday. How does he do that? Because every song's this. It's just
Yeah, if you don't have to do much with the arrangement, then it doesn't take that long.
pretty easy to do.
Yeah, very simple arrangement. What else is happening at this one? I feel like he's going for a slightly different mood. He's going for a bit
Yeah.
more like somber
Yes.
and like less laid back. Not the original isn't somber, but like he's slowed it down a bit, I guess.
Yes, he has.
And I don't think it adds all that much because it's already fairly slow,
Mhm.
and making it a bit slower doesn't really change
you're
that
not
much about it.
bringing out something that wasn't there before.
Yeah, but it does feel a little different. Maybe the other reason is it's got the sort of musical theater thing.
That could be
In
it.
his like, that's how he sings, right? He sings a
Yeah.
little higher. He sings in that style, and he's like decent enough at singing, but
Mhm.
but it's also like it kind of gives it that. It feels more like a soliloquy, I guess, which it sort of is, but it doesn't have the same like laid back feeling.
Yeah, or that feeling of like just like there's a bit of like stiff upper lip in the original where he's like, "Hey, all this shit happened. Got to keep moving. Like it's just another day."
Right.
Like whereas this is just like, "I'm very sad. I am so sad."
I am so sad. Yeah. I overall I wrote it's uninspired, but like it's still a breath of fresh air. compared
Yeah,
to all these other
uninspired
covers.
and a front runner this week for
A
best
front runner
version.
for best version. Yeah, the big difference is like the feel, but obviously, yeah, it's on a different instrument.
Yeah.
And it didn't add like a whole lot.
No, it didn't. There's also a music video which doesn't do much. It's a black screen until vocals kick in, and then he just stares at us a lot while singing. Yeah.
He sure does stare at us.
He
Wow.
sure does stare at
He's
us. Oh
looking
boy.
at me.
Yeah, just barreling the camera, just fucking eyes right down the lens.
He is looking into me. Except when he
Yeah.
looks down to presumably read the lyrics.
Oh, that must be it. I thought he was just adding like dramatic, like flair on lines.
I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's not reading the lyrics. It kind of looks like he is, but he is just looking down. So like
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever.
It's about as exciting as this version is, which is not
Yeah.
very.
Not very exciting, but what is exciting is our final verdicts. We got 3 categories today: the worst version, the best version, and the best drinking version.
Best drinking version.
Drinking. Alex, worst version of this. What is it?
Worst version of this. Jeez. Remember when I said they were all the worst version?
Yes.
I'm not going to do that today, but you know.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, so many of them are just nothing covers, you know?
Yeah, it's just forgettable, just meaningless.
Which I think even among them, even among the very questionable quality of this batch of covers, I think Dennis March sticks out as lesser to me.
Yeah.
It's just very even. It's really lacking. It's the only one that just like decided to take the solo and make it just the melody, which is like kind of a boring thing to do.
That is.
Particularly in this case where like we talked a lot about the quality of maybe the mixing of the recording style or whatever weren't very good, but ultimately it just kind of sounds a bit lethargic and uninteresting.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't want to be doing the song, and you still did it. I'm gonna give it kind of similar to Stephen Kennedy, because just like it's the only one that to me is like this does. I don't even think this is a professional musician,
right?
Like, or an amateur. I feel like this is just a guy on a Saturday night being like, "Hey, that was pretty good."
Yeah,
and
doing
it
like
was
a
not
decent
pretty good.
karaoke.
Decent karaoke, but not decent recorded music. Alex, what's the best version of this?
What's the best version of this? I mean, sometimes I go for novelty, and I do tend to favor novelty.
Sure.
But I really didn't like Nathan Temby's version that much. Like, it was, I said, uninspired.
Yeah, I wanted to like it so bad, man.
Yeah, he's just not doing much with it. So, sorry, Nathan. But I do think the one I liked the most is probably Tony Christie.
Yeah.
That's the one that at least evokes a feeling of something. You know, like he's trying.
Yeah, he found a space. It's not.
Yeah, it's very similar, but it does like enough with the arrangement to feel a bit different. We talked about how it maybe feels a bit more like old movies and like it's evoking something, you know?
Yes.
So I think it really has that advantage, and so it's the best cover this week.
Best cover this week. It's the best we got. Tony Christie.
Yeah.
There you go. Alex, you're drinking. You're cracking open a tonic water while grilling.
While grilling.
Which version of Tequila Sunrise is playing?
Tequila Sunrise is playing. Jeez. I mean, I can't even tell them apart. Like,
I just layer them all on top of each other. Fuck it.
Oh man, yeah, all at the same time. Honestly, they'd probably sync up pretty well.
Yeah,
because
probably
they're all
would.
very close together. But which one would I do? I feel like the one that has the most cred is Molly Hatchet, so you could like tell people that.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of them, maybe." So that would be one advantage, but I think I'm gonna go with Lasse Lindholm Band, only because I don't know, his accent exists.
Hey, yeah,
I don't try to find a reason to pick somebody.
You're trying to find something like musically distinct.
Yeah, like I like mandolins.
Yeah, mandolins, they're all right. Because the secret of this question is like, which one of these versions should you listen to, even if it's not that good? That's really the third category. It's like it's not the best.
Which one would be a little buzzed help with?
Yeah.
Honestly, Molly Hatchet's probably the answer to that, but I'm gonna say Lasse Lindholm.
Yeah, so I'll take Molly Hatchet.
Yeah.
That's our final verdict. I got a question for you, Alex. We don't usually do this, but
okay.
What version of this song would be good? If you had the skill set and the vision to pull it off, what kind of cover of this would you do?
Jeez. I do feel like there's space for, I mean, Tony Christie went in the direction that it might work. Like you could do a big version of this, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe even Nathan Temby's going in that direction. Not less musical theater, maybe more like pop, but like you could do like an orchestral version of this. But like drop the guitar. Don't try to make it sound Western, or don't try to make it sound Western in that way. You know, like if you want it to sound Western, make it more like mariachi. You know, less, strumming. Just strumming the guitar.
I think like a mariachi approach where it's kind of like torn down a bit, and you focus on like more of that style of instrument, that style of brass, and the big ass fat guitar.
Yes, I forget what it's called.
All that I forget what it's called.
Yeah, if you had that style, that would be cool. I think just because it kind of fits in with the existing sort of image, but also like feels different enough. Or kind of like split the parts of the Tony Christie version, but do them all out in either direction. Like either do the full like orchestral pop, or do the full like kind of more Mexican Western thing.
Yeah.
But like separately, like try to like go all in on that, versus just kind of doing half of each, but also still kind of just doing the original.
Yeah, still not really getting anywhere. I wonder if there's a version where you do like a sort of spaghetti western Ennio Morricone inspired.
Oh, like
arrangement.
more like still Western, but like a different.
Yeah, but
different
really amp
take
up
on
that
Western.
that energy, that sort of tension.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like a. I mean, we talked about Sunday Morning. Is there like a Velvet Underground version of this? That's not Western. That's just.
I do think there's room
Hangover.
for like a punk rock version of this in that vein.
Yeah, like
Because some of the lines are just kind of like speak to that like down on your luck kind of loser energy that punk rock brings.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, about like just trying the same thing over and over again, and failing, and being stuck in the same place, and time is just passing and all that.
Yeah, not getting laid in a long time. Those are all punk rock concepts.
I feel like there's a lot of ways to do this properly if you just like have an idea about how to do it. Like, I mean, that's the really general answer. But if you don't just kind of cover it like all the other ones.
Yeah, like a country version makes sense, sure, but why does every version have to be that?
Yeah. Although I also feel like even like these are all close covers, but none of them really felt like they had much of a personality.
Yeah, nobody
Also?
even went
Yeah.
fully their own direction, whatever that was.
So I don't know. Is it something about it? Surely it's not something about the song. You can do whatever you want to the song. Change as much of it as you want.
Yeah.
Like as much as it sounds nice, you don't need to keep any of the parts other than the lyrics, really.
The lyrics, yeah.
Because like it's the guitar strumming and it's a nice pattern.
Sure, it's
but
great.
like, and it sounds good, but it's not that iconic, as like you would get like a hook or like a nice riff. Like, really?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of flexibility in something that's simple,
Yeah.
especially when even Glenn Frey calls it kind of Roy Orbison, kind of Mexican. It's like, well, you've already got 2 takes you can do there. Do full Roy Orbison.
Do more Roy Orbison. Yeah,
do full
absolutely.
Mexican.
Do
Like,
that like older rock and roll, like straight rock and roll.
yeah, exactly. I felt that this week it was worth discussing that because there was such a lack of inspiration in these covers.
Absolutely, because like no one really did anything with it, and we've had similar ones where people like stick too close to it, and this just seems like that cranked up to 11.
To 11, yeah. This was I try to avoid. I've done playlists where it's like, oh, there's too many that are just the same. I'm gonna drop it. And this week I was like, no, we got to do it. We got to get the sun in there. Like we need things for this theme.
We'll try it. Well, we tried it.
We tried.
We got
folks.
through it. So hey,
we got through it.
we
But
succeeded.
hey, that's our final verdicts. If you got different opinions, similar opinions, want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about, I think there's some, but they kind of
many.
all sound like these versions. Hit us up on the app formerly known as Twitter, #CoverMePod, @SnakeyMe, @some Alex Wise guys. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. You can also email those to us at covermepod@gmail.com. Talk to us there. Be sure to rate and review us. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube Music sometimes. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon Podcasts, Podurama, Podbean, Pocket Casts, all the apps. We're on there. Tell your friends, family, neighbors, loved ones about us. Get the word out. What you can really do to get the word out this week. I saw some planes doing an air show the other day this week. You guys don't have to fully do that, but get the banner. Or skywriting if you can really afford it, but get the little banner attached to the little biplane to Cover Me Pod. If you are a pilot and have access, just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Surely one pilot, a recreational pilot, must listen to this podcast.
I hope so.
I hope so. It's my hope and prayer. But get that happening. See if you can do it on your commercial flight. See if they'll let you hang something off the back.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
Usually, I mean, they let people anywhere on the plane.
Yeah, they're very accommodating.
Yeah.
Go wherever you like. Take in the sights. It's the airport. It's an exciting place to be. But that's what you can do for us this week. And that does it for today's episode of Cover Me. And as we always say on Cover Me, every night when the sun goes down, just another Cover Me in town.